Yes, and I will
The
tell you
young woman
how.
was alive when God was talking.
Do you want to hear my proof?
All right.
Would you like to hear my proof?
I'll hear you out. I'll hear you out.
Because if you go to the prior verse, he says, "Listen here, O house of David, the Lord shall give you a sign." Who's the sign for? It's for the house of David. Behold, a young woman shall conceive. Meaning, if the prophet Isaiah is speaking to the house of David and is saying, "Behold, the Lord will give you a sign," then the sign must pertain to the generation of Isaiah 700 BCE, not in the first century when Jesus was born.
Just to confirm, you're talking about 7:13 saying the Lord shall give you a sign?
Yes.
That's not what I have here. Then he said,
That's
"Listen, O now, house of David, is it too slight a thing for you to try the patience of men, that you will try the patience of my God as well?"
Read the next verse.
Where
the
does it
same
say, "I
way
will
that
give
you're
you a
accusing
sign"?
us,
And read the
the
next
same
verse.
way you're accusing us of assumption, you're kind of assuming quite a lot here as well.
Well,
Okay, one second.
yeah, but you said the verse before. That's why I'm trying to confirm.
I
That's
can't
why I was
speak with like
confused.
three of you. So like, please, Sig, read the next
No,
verse.
I'm not here.
Sig.
I'm not here to argue.
Oh
I'm
my
not here to
goodness.
argue at this
Can I
moment.
speak?
I was just clarifying.
Can I explain? Yeah. If you go to the next verse, then it states, "Behold, the Lord shall give you a sign." So we find, right, that the sign is pertaining to who? It pertains to the generation of Achaz, right? As it states, "Behold, the Lord shall give you a sign." The young woman, right, is going to conceive, right? Or the virgin is going to conceive. Again, it doesn't have to mean that she's going to conceive while still being a virgin. She's obviously going to have relations. He's just saying at this moment that she is a virgin. He's referring to her as a virgin or a young woman. Either or is fine. Look, brothers, you guys don't seem the most knowledgeable. This would have been like a fun conversation, but like you haven't really read the Old Testament. This is fine. So
Kapora, Yaakov,
Yes.
guys, the difference between us and them, we accepted the birth of Christ. We accepted his teachings. That's why we accepted what he told us about the Old Testament.
This is
A
secular.
Jew rejects this birth. He rejects the teaching. Therefore, he's not going to accept what we tell him about the Old Testament. Their understanding of the Old Testament is limited outside the birth of Christ. Our understanding of the Old Testament is tied with the teachings of Christ.
Yes.
And both, one reject, one accept. If I accept, I accept the teachings.
One
If I
begs
reject,
the question.
I'm going to reject the teachings.
One begs the question, one doesn't. This is
The
true.
bottom line, this guy, hold on, Yaakov. This guy used to be you were EOs?
Me?
Because he comes from a Christian background and Jewish background.
أنا؟ أعوذ بالله.
You, don't you come from a Christian background as well?
لأن أنا يهودي.
So you lied to me on Clubhouse?
Probably.
So why should I believe you now?
I mean, yeah, you don't have to. It's like not really relevant. But anyways.
ولك أنت عرس.
من على الكوز. Anyways, so the thing is, again, yes, what do is correct. You guys beg the question. You presuppose Jesus and then use the interpretations of Jesus to establish him as the Mashiach, which is totally circular. But I mean, this was a fun conversation. Maybe I'll come back in a couple of weeks.
I mean, I'd have to, maybe, but like, yeah, I'd have to allow you to say, for example, presuppose the fact that this only refers to the current house of David rather than the future lines of David. Like you said,
Okay.
It's generational. So
If
I
you
have
go
to
to
allow
verse
you
2,
that.
Sheikh, if you go to verse 2,
Sure.
You find that the house of David pertains to those of the generation of Isaiah contextually. How? Because it states in verse 2, right, that Isaiah was sent to the house of David because the house of David were afraid, right, of course, from regarding pertaining to the destruction.
Sure.
Let me finish. Pertaining to the incoming destruction of the northern kingdom and the Syrian kingdom, which tried to destroy them. So when it states that the house of David were afraid, this obviously pertains to the generation of Isaiah. So when it says, "Listen, O house of David, the Lord will give you a sign," this obviously pertains to, again, the generation of Isaiah. But look, guys, this was fun. Thank you. God bless.
Right. But then, I mean, on this, like, you're kind of like walking away from it as well. Ahaz specifically says, "I will not ask, I will not put the Lord to the test." The reason why Isaiah was replying to this was because, well, hey, this is, you're not going to receive it now, essentially.
This is
Am I
your
wrong in saying that?
presupposition. He says, "Listen here, O house of David."
It's not presupposition.
Akhi, let me explain. When he says, "Listen here, O house of David," it has to be the case that the house of David refers to those around Achaz. Why? Because the house of David, as per verse 2, pertains to those of the generation of Isaiah and of Achaz, as it establishes that they were afraid regarding the incoming conquering of the northern and Syrian kingdom. But yeah, I gave the explanation.
According to the Syrian, I know. According to the Syrian kingdom, right, the Lord will bring on you and your people and the house of your father at a time unlike any since Ephraim broke away from Judah. But wouldn't this be essentially adding to the context that it's not currently at this time that he's speaking of?
I'm not even sure what you're saying. But anyways, thank you, brother. Take care. God bless.